In this video, we're going to recap UConn's 69-58 victory over North Carolina. This includes looking that Paige was Paige, Strong was good even when bad, Alfy has to get our hands out of the cookie jar, Ice is doing enough, and is Q in the doghouse, or has she been passed on the depth chart by Morgan Shelley? Yes, once again, my voice is pretty much garbage, but I feel good, so let's get on with this video and see how we do. If you enjoy the content, then please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. All right, here we go. Now, I didn't even mention it in the intro. Probably the story of the night is that Geno ties Tara VanDerveer on the all-time win list for women's college basketball, which is obviously impressive, but to me, I don't know. Have your say, but the more impressive thing is the 11 championships. I think that shows how UConn can take talent every year and mold it and make it fit together to ultimately get better at the end of the season and win a championship. A lot of ways, the wins, if you're a good program, I mean, obviously they're an epically good program, but wins will come over time. It's almost like Craig Biggio. He was going to get 3,000 hits for being, if you're in the major leagues that long and a 300 hitter, you're going to compile records. Now, in terms of the game, like I said previously, Paige Bueckers was Paige Bueckers. She has the ball on a string. She can do whatever she wants. She can call for mismatches and knows that she can get a bucket whenever she wants. UConn got on North Carolina early. Then North Carolina went zone. And UConn just did not shoot very well, as they were 43% from the floor and only shot 24%, 7 of 29 from the three-point line. And North Carolina wasn't much better. They were 36% from the floor, going 21 of 58. They shot a little bit better from three, going 7 of 24 for 29%. Overall, it just felt like an early season game, almost like an NFL preseason game to me. Now, going through the UConn starters, like I said, Paige Bueckers was Paige Bueckers. The one that stood out to me was when she wanted the mismatch. I think it was she sent Strong away and then had Morgan come up because she wanted to take Toomey off the pick and roll, basically, and she could get whatever she wanted. Now, Sarah Strong, even when she's not great, she is just really good. She went 0 for 7 from three-point range, but she still had a massive impact on the game as she was 7 for 19 from the floor. In addition, she got, how many rebounds? 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks. And that's the thing with Strong. Even when she's not like hitting her outside shot, she's just constantly putting up numbers. Like, she's so good on the boards. You don't even have to worry about it. You know, if there's like a one-on-one contest, more than likely she's going to get the board. In the postgame, you can just tell Oriema loves her game as well. I think he likes the fact that she went 0 for 7 and has something to work on. And he almost mentioned that. He's like, we have things to point to. It's a perfect game for Sarah.
She's a young kid, as you can tell. You know, her game is much more mature or much older than she is, you know. And I'm glad that she shot it lousy. I'm glad she didn't play like a senior or, you know, the national player of the year. I'm glad she didn't do that, because that would have been impossible to live up to. So there's so many things that she's going to look at this film and realize, you know, there's so much more that I can do. So I think it was the perfect learning experience for her.
Once again, Geno went out of his way to praise Ice Brady.
You know, Ice Brady needed to play a game like this to prove to herself that she can be, you know, super impactful in a game like this.
Ice Brady played 25 minutes, went 3 for 5 for 9 points. She was pretty good on the boards, getting 9 rebounds, 3 assists. She hit a few shots from outside, and overall she was just really solid. It was good. Alfy was a bit up and down. She had a few touch fouls. Like, she gets in trouble, she reaches in, and she gets fouls. The other one that stuck out to me was Sarah Strong set her up for an absolute bunny, and she traveled. But that happens. It's basketball. The one thing that sticks out is Ice Brady is good and solid, but you can look in bursts. Alfy will have moments where when she's in the lineup, they are really good with a point per possession net of over 1. At the end of the first quarter, the lineup of KK Arnold, Shade, Paige Bueckers, Strong, and Geno Alfy, that was plus 1.21 and plus 6 over that period of time. Then in the fourth quarter, the lineup Chin, KK Arnold, Paige Bueckers, Strong, and Geno Alfy, that was plus 1.05 and plus 4 over that period of time. Those lineups were good defensively as well, only giving up 0.24 per possession, and on the other occasion, 0.54. So overall, limited sample, but it appears that trifecta of Strong, Ice Brady, and Geno Alfy, it's holding up well enough. The combo of Chin and KK Arnold, I think that works fine. I think KK Arnold gives you a little bit of burst, and they have little runs sometimes, just with her dynamicness on defense. I don't know if dynamicness is a word. But anyway, I think it's good how their games sort of complement each other. Chin brings a little bit more shooting, so when they went zone, she hit a few three-pointers in the corner. But as well, it's nice to come off the bench with KK, and she can give you a few steals and sort of pick up the energy. Ashlyn Shade did not have a very good shooting night. She was 1 for 6, I believe. And that's the question with Shade. Will she be able to do it consistently? That's why I think over time, I think AZ Fudd, once she gets back in the lineup, is going to squeeze her out. Allie Zabel got 3 minutes in this game, and yeah, she couldn't hit anything. That's sort of the life of a sniper. She got a few shots, and then they took her off. Her job was to bust the zone, and she just couldn't hit any shots. She was -5. Morgan Shelley also got some time. I thought it was interesting when they played Sarah Strong at the 5 and Shelley at the 4. That lineup was +3, and point per possession was +0.53, so it held up over 3 minutes okay. I just wonder if we're going to see more of that. Now, the last player I want to talk about is Qadence Samuels. Now, she did not get any time in this game. I don't see anything showing that she's injured or out. I don't know if it's just a case that she had a bad week's practice, but you would think in this game, like, they needed a zone buster, so I was just really surprised that Qadence didn't get a few minutes to see if she could hit anything. So I don't know if she's in the doghouse for a bad week of practice. It was driving me crazy in the press conference. Like, I wanted somebody to ask about it. It was all about Geno and 40 years and tying the record, which I understand that's the narrative of the game. But why didn't Qadence get more minutes or get some minutes? And it was funny. I was trying to Google about it after the game, Qadence minutes, and then what came up was last year, Geno actually apologized to Qadence after the Syracuse game because he didn't get her in for that game and said, hey, stay sharp. We're going to need you at some point. Sure enough, this article goes on about how big she was versus Southern Cal. And she was. If you go back and look at that game, she was +8 in that game because Ashlyn Shade, I mentioned it before, she struggled against their big guards in the first quarter. Ashlyn Shade was -8. Then they put they put on Samuels, and she was +6 at the end of the first and the start of the second quarter. And that really, really helped UConn get that victory so they could return to the Final Four. So I'm curious, when will Q get back? Is she in sort of the doghouse, or what's going on with her? I think she'll be a valuable piece, at least until Griffin gets back. Or is this just simply a case where Morgan Shelley's moved ahead of her on the depth chart? Same thing with Zabel. Like, he's like, I need shooters, and my first go-tos would be to have Morgan Shelley and Allie Zabel out there versus having Q out there. It'll be interesting to see. And that is the one tightrope that UConn's having to walk this season, is having so much depth. I mean, having 10 players, what a luxury. But I remember last year when UConn played Louisville and they asked Jeff Walls about the UConn depth, and he was like, having just 7 players at the time, I don't think Griffin had been injured at that point. And Walls was like, their lack of depth isn't an issue because it allows Geno to play his best players all the time.
It makes it easier sometimes as a coach when you don't have as many to put in, because then you don't have to worry about pleasing all of them. Because we are now in a time where if every freshman thinks they should play 30 plus minutes, and if they don't, their camp's telling them to transfer. So it's a situation, and obviously you never want to see anybody get hurt. I mean, that's not what you want to see. But because his rotation's shorter, I think it might be something as it progresses that becomes an asset to him.
And I think in some ways having so many players, although it's a wonderful problem considering what the problems they went through in the previous few years in terms of injuries, In some ways, a smaller roster or smaller rotation helps the players that you have get more familiar with each other and gel quicker. But overall takeaways from this game are that UConn's on track. It's, again, I keep on saying it, it's going to be fun watching this roster get put together and get better as the season goes along, because all the pieces is clearly all the pieces are there, and all they need is to maintain health and get it all together. The next step, I think, in the next two games, I believe Fudd will return, as I believe they're trying to set her up to be ready for Louisville and Notre Dame. At least that's my hope, and that would be December at that time. I cannot wait for December to come around to watch them face off versus Louisville, Notre Dame, and then Iowa State. All of those games should be good, and then USC will be fun as well. Anyway, now over to you. Your thoughts, your comments. Why do you think Q didn't get a lot of minutes during this, or any minutes in this game? Thanks a lot for watching. Once again, very sorry about my ridiculous voice.